All of this misinterpretation, I don't even know if that's the right word, the perverting of Representative Ilhan Omar's statement, the perverting of her statement, started to get out of hand. And then somebody, probably a Democrat, came up with the idea of a resolution that condemns anti-Semitism. Yeah, we still have to do that, don't we? Especially in Trump's America. And I don't give a fuck what that orange bastard says. So let's have a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Then anti-Muslim bias was added in. Okay. And then white supremacy was added in. And by the end, the resolution cited African Americans, Native Americans, and other people of color, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, immigrants, and others, end quote, victimized by bigotry. They left out pagans and atheists. They left out homosexuals, transgender people. I guess all of that comes under the heading others. So the resolution, as it was finally formulated, condemned, quote, hateful expressions of intolerance, end quote. It was passed by the House by an overwhelming 407 to 23 vote yesterday. The 23 were all Republicans. Caught in the middle was Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who worked for days to calm things down inside the Democratic Party, that erupted after Representative Omar said that backers of Israel exhibit dual loyalty. And I would just raise the question, how many Americans of the Jewish faith have dual citizenship? I know the now former mayor, Rahm Emanuel of Chicago, had dual citizenship. A lot of Jews of political power and importance in this country, financial, political, whatever, have dual citizenship. So Omar was making the statement that dual citizenship also carries with it, to some degree, an obligation both ways. Maybe a greater obligation to the American part of the duality and a lesser obligation to the Israeli part of the citizenship. But it's still there. Pelosi told reporters yesterday morning as she announced the vote, quote, I see everything as an opportunity. This is an opportunity once again to declare as strongly as possible opposition to anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim statements, and white supremacist attitudes. Okay. But do you not find it unusual? I mean, on the one hand, I do. On the other hand, no. But it's unusual that here in the year 2019, we have to pass a resolution condemning hatred and bigotry. Like I say, on the one hand, of course we have to, because it's rampant. On the other hand, after 235, 240 years, we're still dealing with this. And we always will be. The carefully crafted measure, this resolution, one Democratic aide called it a kitchen sink resolution, as in everything's in there but the kitchen sink, or something like that. It capped an emotional week for Democrats, who found themselves divided along racial and religious lines as they debated how to respond to Ms. Omar. Well, maybe the best way to have responded to Ms. Omar was not to have focused on her comment to begin with. Of course, the Republicans will grab anything and twist it into something evil. In the end, only Republicans voted no. The 23 votes that were no, they weren't going to support the resolution. They were all Republicans. Steve King, the Nazi from Iowa, the representative from Iowa, who was stripped of his committee assignments this year after a history of bigoted comments, he voted present. Cowardly little fuck. See? You scratch a Nazi or a bigot and you find an absolute coward underneath. The resolution states in part this, quote, whether from the political right, the political center, or the political left, bigotry, discrimination, oppression, racism, and imputations of dual loyalty threaten American democracy and have no place in American political discourse, end quote. The resolution also evokes the white supremacist attacks in Charlottesville, Virginia, Charleston, South Carolina, Pittsburgh, as well as numerous attacks on Muslims and mosques. Okay, if imputations of dual loyalty threaten American democracy and have no place in American political discourse, then how about this? How about, unless there's some kind of an honorarium bestowed on people, why don't everybody who holds dual citizenship give it up? Either you're an American citizen or you're not. Or, that's just one idea, how about it stop being an issue? You can have triple citizenship if you want it. You can have quadruple citizenship. Because my family is essentially Irish, I guess can I claim Irish citizenship, Kathy? You don't know. But if you are of a particular ethnic or nationalist origin, I know on the Italian side of my family, the Italian from the national standpoint, not genetic, the Italian standpoint, since my grandfather is directly from Italy, I've been told that I can claim Italian citizenship. Not that I would want it. No disparaging of Italians. I have citizenship. I have citizenship here. Doesn't citizenship carry with it obligations to support the country that has granted you citizenship? Aren't you supposed to support it financially through your taxes? Aren't you supposed to protect it in the case of an invasion or a war? It was really rough on my grandparents, my Italian grandparents, during World War II. Because, you know, part of the Axis powers was Italy. Republicans mocked the all-inclusive approach. Representative Doug Collins, the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, and that little racist booger bear is from here in Georgia. He exclaimed shortly before the measure came to a vote this, quote, we left out the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We left out Wiccans. We left out Jehovah's Witnesses. We left out disabled people. What makes you feel good doesn't always heal you. What? Okay. But that's to be expected from a representative from Georgia. I know. I live here. Some veteran Jewish Democrats who had pushed for a measure that would solely condemn anti-Semitism were equally dismayed. Representative Ted Deutsch, Democrat of Florida, who's a Jew, said, quote, we are having this debate because of the language of one of our colleagues, language that suggests Jews like me, who served in the United States in Congress and whose father earned a Purple Heart fighting the Nazis in the Battle of the Bulge, that we are not loyal Americans. That is not what Omar said. And if Deutsch draws that conclusion or implication from what Representative Omar said, he's full of shit. Deutsch added, quote, why are we unable to singularly condemn anti-Semitism? Why can't we call it anti-Semitism and show we've learned the lessons of history? I could answer that, and I'll sound very smarmy and snotty and belligerent and like a know-it-all, but I know nothing. I only know what I think I know. But why are we not able to singularly condemn anti-Semitism? My answer to that would be, well, why just anti-Semitism? Forgive me for what I'm about to say, because it could be construed any way you want to construe it. But millions more black-skinned people died during the era of American slavery and the transportation of people across the Middle Passage than died in the Holocaust. So is this group of deaths so much greater than that group of deaths that it negates the pain and suffering of the lesser group of deaths and enhances the pain and suffering of the greater number of deaths? No, of course not. But the only answer that my twisted mind could come up with to Representative Deutsch's question is something like that. The history in this country is pretty fucked up when you get right down to it. I mean, it's severely fucked up. So if we are going to condemn bigotry and so on and so forth, let's start with Trump. Why have we elected a bigot? Why have we elected a racist piece of shit like Donald Trump, who, I don't care what his daughter's religion is by virtue of marriage, I don't give a shit. He is also anti-Semitic, and he calls Democrats now anti-Semitic. You see, this just goes on and fucking on forever. World without end. Amen. Representative Lee Zeldin of New York, one of two Jewish Republicans in the House, voted no for this resolution. He's not going to condemn it. He called the final resolution spineless and disgusting, and he added this, quote, if a Republican member was pushing the anti-Semitism that Representative Omar keeps peddling, you see, anti-Semitism, because she said what she said. This resolution would name names. See, this guy wants Omar's name in it. Miss Omar, you Muslim bitch, you, how dare you say that people who contribute to my election campaign will then have an influence on how I vote? What the fuck? I mean, do you believe that's not true? If the NRA gives money to a candidate, do you think that that candidate is not going to take care of the NRA? If the ACLU gives money, do you think that candidate is not going to respond to the desires of the ACLU? If the United Auto Workers gives money, I mean, I can just go on for fucking ever here. So if supporters of Israel give money to a candidate, do you think for one goddamn second that the supporters of Israel, in giving the money to the candidate, don't expect that candidate then to vote on issues that pertain to Israel in favor of Israel, or Spain, or Italy, or pick a fucking country? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast, or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.